All right, guys. Welcome to my new podcast. I'm calling it Smart Alek because that's what I've been called my whole life, so might as well start a podcast named the same. I tried to do that whole podcast thing with my last one, and it was just more me rambling, which I wasn't really a fan of. So what I decided was that I'm going to try and stick with this time. I'm going to try and do video and audio, see how long I can do that. A big reason is that, one, I have a really bad habit of spending money on things like this microphone and that camera and the software on my computer, making like one video or doing 2 podcasts and then not following through, which is just me. And I know that. But part of being smart, as a smart Alek, is that I am going to see if I can put 6 months in and see what can happen. See if I can create habits, see if I can make it a regular thing, and then just go from there and figure out what's next. So this first episode is just it's going to take some time to kind of get everything in order and figure out kind of my format and how I want things to flow. But really, it's just a way for me to talk. I just think that there's a lot going on in the world. I'm states away from my family and friends, and I figured this would just be an easy way for them to hear my voice because I know how much they miss it because I talk so much in life. But, of course, I'm getting a call. Anyway, so we're just going to kind of figure things out and go from there and see what happens because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what this is going to be. I just have a lot of free time. I signed up to walk dogs on WAG and haven't done it yet, but another thing I need to follow through on. So I'm hoping that, one, I can start this podcast maybe once a week, but I mean, even that's kind of a stretch. Every 2 weeks, hopefully, at the minimum once a month. But, who knows? This could be the one and done, and you'll never see me again. But I am just going to talk to you a little bit about my morning. So first of all, I have some drama. Not drama, but I got beef is what it is. I have beef with people who make coffee at home. And you know who you are because you probably own a French press or a percolator or a pour over, whatever it is. We can't be friends. And it's not because you can drink coffee at home. It's because I can't. Again, more things that I've bought that I shouldn't have. I bought a coffee percolator, which if you've ever gone camping, essentially there's like 2 chambers. It boils water from the bottom, goes up through pressure through the coffee beans, and comes into the top. Well, with a percolator, there's no filter, and you need like more coarse coffee grounds. Well, I don't have those, and I've looked in every grocery store I go into for like coarse coffee grounds. They're like nowhere to be found. So when I make coffee, it's like the coffee from Monsters Inc. when it comes out like sludge because there's grounds in it. And I'm all down for like a Java chip frappuccino, but sometimes I just want a cup of coffee with some creamer and to not have coffee grounds left in my teeth afterwards. So we stopped doing that. So what I did is I went and bought filters and a pour over. It's like a little plastic thing you sit on top of a coffee cup, put the grinds in, you pour hot water over. What I started to do was make the coffee in the percolator and then pour that coffee through the pour over filter to get out all of the coffee beans that were left inside the coffee. But now I'm making 2 different types of coffee and none of it is good. I can't figure out the right amount of beans to use. The water is, it's just a mess. So then what I started doing was I would boil the water. Literally no one cares, but it's fine. I would boil the water in the percolator and then do it pour over style. Well, the percolator is not big enough to make more than 1 cup of coffee. And so it was just a waste of time. So this morning I went to a coffee shop and it's like half a mile from my house. And I'm like close to downtown, but not too close, where like there's a couple coffee shops, but nothing too like hipster. But this coffee shop, there was like some very interesting characters. And I've noticed more and more every time I go into like coffee shops like that, like small mom and pop or like local coffee shops. People live in coffee shops. And I'm not exaggerating. Like people sleep there. They do their homework there. They like write letters to each other. They have their mail sent to these coffee shops. Like it's intimidating as someone who's like never been to these places. When you walk in and behind someone, they're like, "Oh, Linda, you doing your breve? Like, you get another latte today?" And then it's kind of like, "Oh, hi, welcome. Who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable." And then like the menu, like there's things not on the menu and there's things on the menu, and then you ask and they're out of it. So then like it's like shopping anxiety, like going into new coffee shops. So my goal is to go to this coffee shop enough that they know who I am and I don't have to talk to anyone. I can walk in, order my stuff, go. I paid $4 for a burrito that was the size of like my two fingers. Like it was just very like not worth my money, but you live and you learn. And that was just one of those times where I lived and I learned. But the people that were there, I'm like, half these people don't even have coffee. So they're literally just here for the Wi-Fi. I'm like, go to McDonald's. Go to McDonald's and get some coffee. And it's so quiet. It feels like a library in there. And I'm just like, if I wanted to hang out at the public library, I would. Why don't you go there, you know? No. You know what? Everyone has a right to be there. Everyone has a right to hang out. Just like stop making me feel bad about myself for not having homework to do. Or like not needing to write emails to my friends and family. Like, why are you making me feel guilty for that? Like, I get it. You're going to college and I dropped out. Thanks. Well, for now, I've actually been looking at applying to colleges again, but I think I want to do like online. I want to finish my degree online. So I was looking at different programs that I can do online because I have a lot of free time, but not on a regular schedule. So I have like random like layovers places, or I can study on the plane. So it's like, why am I not like finishing school and getting my degree? Because I have the time. And so that's something I've been looking into, applying for colleges. And I'm like, oh, I'll start in August. I'll start in fall. I'm like, I missed those deadlines by like 5 months. So maybe spring. So it kind of helped like line everything up. Like now I'm like, okay, well, I'll try and do like this podcast thing and like see what happens with this for a little while. And then I'll go to college and keep working and kind of figure out just like, I'm trying to grind, you know, I'm trying to get on my hustle. I'm trying to wake up, grind, go to sleep, wake up, grind, like everyday type thing, you know? And like basically what I've noticed is that's the only way to be successful is to just fill your plate with so much stuff you have no time for anything else. And it's like, I'm in. I have so much free time. I could be walking a dog right now. Okay, so I got my hair cut this morning and I'm sitting there and like this place is like walk-ins only and it's always busy. So I left my house at like 8 a.m. because they opened at 8. So I figured they'd be like, no, wait. No, there was already like 5 people in front of me. So I get in there and I sit down and this guy comes in with a dog, which is fine. I love dogs. The dog is not on a leash, which is fine if the dog was just to chill. Like if the dog was just hanging out and the owner was just chilling and the dog was just chilling, but that's not what was happening. This dog was like a puppy, like 1-year-old, full of energy, like border collie, like mix, jumping on people, running all over. And I'm like, I'm all about like the bring your dog everywhere if you can kind of thing. But this barbershop is also full of like older people. Like one jump and like if he knocks that lady down, like you're done for. So I'm like, put your dog on a leash. Like I'm all for bringing it, let it meet people, like get it associated. And that's what he was trying to say was like, oh, well, I'm trying to, you know, get it used to people. I'm like, okay, but this isn't how you do it, because he was like, oh, I want to take it on a plane one day. I'm like, okay, but you're not going to let the dog run around on the planes. Like you need to teach your dog to like sit and chill and like just hang out for an hour or two, because otherwise your flight's going to be miserable. And I'm just like, I know the policies on dogs, and he's talking about bringing his dog on. I'm like, I just stay quiet because I'm like, I don't need this in my life. I don't need this confrontation. I don't need people to know I'm a flight attendant, because they ask me questions. They ask me what company I work for and like where I fly to. I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going to be tomorrow. I can't tell you where I'm going to be in 3 months. But that's just like another thing is like if you're going to bring a dog on the plane, your dog needs to be trained. And if it's a service animal, emotional support animal, air quotes, like you need to make sure that dog is still trained because it's a pain for the people around you, which is just common courtesy, which actually isn't even a thing for people on the plane. There is like zero regard for other people. Like some people, and not everyone, there are some people who are very respectful and understand like common courtesy and how to like be on a plane. But what I've noticed is that there's a lot of people who have zero idea on how to behave on a plane. So I've written down some do's and don'ts for air travel because summer's coming up. Maybe you're going on vacation or you're coming to see me out here in Denver, whatever. But here are some do's and don'ts of travel. So the first thing, we're going to start from getting to the airport. First of all, security is always long. Get there early. Everyone says that. If you're not there like 2 hours early, you're going to be stressed. 2, you can bring food through security. You can't bring liquids, but you can pack trail mix and granola bars. Like you're allowed to bring food through security. So if for some reason you don't want to get there early, bring snacks because 1, the food in the airport is expensive. If you're planning on buying snacks on the plane, those are expensive. Your trip is probably already expensive. So why would you not just bring stuff through security? Like you can look up TSA regulations on what you can bring through security. The only thing they're really strict on is liquids and now some powders. But as long as you're not on a Slim Fast diet or a cocaine diet, like you're going to be fine to bring some snacks through security. Once you get through security, get your shit and get out. Don't stand around. Don't block the walkways. Have a plan. You're going to get through security. You're going to go straight to your gate or you're going to go straight to a restaurant, whatever. Get out of the way because there are so many people and it's just going to speed up the process for everyone, make everyone's days easier. Once you get into the airport, imagine you're in your car at all times. There are people running past you. There are flight crews trying to make their check-in times. Don't walk. First of all, we're going to talk about just walking in general. If you're going to stop, look behind you. Don't just stop in the middle of a walkway. Sure, we're all walking, but if I'm walking fast to get somewhere and you stop in front of me with your bag, I'm going to hit you and I'm not going to feel bad. Another thing, if there's like moving walkways, like an escalator but flat, it's fine if you want to stand on them. It's fine if you want to slowly walk on them. But just like on the freeway, stay on the right side and let people pass you on the left because those walkways shave off like minutes of my day sometimes because if I can walk fast enough on the walkways to be there in half the time, I'm probably going to make it in time for my check-in. But if you block me, I'm going to say something to you and I'm not going to feel bad because it's basically just my way of teaching people how to fucking learn how to walk in an airport because it's one person at a time or one group of people or kids that are playing on them. Like I'm just trying to get to work, let me get to work and then you can dick around all you want. But until then, like move to the right or walk on the side. They're walkways, not for you to just stand and block them. So let's say you're walking on the walkway, you stay on the right side, you do everything right and you get to the gate and you see that the flight crew comes on or there's agents who start making announcements. Pay attention to what boarding group you're in. Pay attention to where and what lane you're supposed to be in. Every airline is different. Every airline boards differently. They all think they're doing it the right way, but really it just sucks either way. Don't line up until it's your time to line up. Knock it off. Knock that shit off. We call them gate lice. Gate lice. They infiltrate and they just meander and they stand and they block the way. They think they know what they're doing and they don't. If you're in boarding group 1, you have an assigned seat. So why are you worried about being the first one on the plane? Especially with my company, like Southwest, first of all, you're numbered. So it's not boarding groups. So you're numbered 1 through 10 in groups of like 20, whatever. You have a place to be. Pay attention to where it is and line up when it's appropriate. Don't line up early because then you're just going to stand and get all cranky and pissed off because it takes so long. But really, no one even made an announcement for you to start boarding. So you're wasting your own time. Now, you're coming down, you're getting on the plane. Pay attention to what seat you're in, okay? I'm in 27B, okay? I'm going to start paying attention. Think the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F. Where would I possibly be? Do you think you're in a window at B? No. Where would you be? You're in the middle, okay? So now look at what side. One side says ABC, one side says DEF. Now, which side am I on? Probably the side that says B would be, I don't know, my best guess. My best guess is that you're on that side, okay? Now, you look up and you're trying to put your rollerboard in the overhead bin. Well, what you don't realize is there's probably 30 other people behind you just standing there, delaying the flight because your fat ass is standing in the aisle, blocking it and not letting anyone pass. Step into that seat row and let the people pass you, okay? Once you get a break, throw your bag up there, or throw your bag up there and step into the aisle or out of the aisle and let the people pass you right away. Why do you need to be out in the aisle the whole time? You don't, okay? Most airlines carry-on baggage policy is one bag and one personal item. The bag needs to go in the overhead bin. Your personal item needs to go under the seat in front of you. Why are you taking up space with your coat? Why are you taking up space with your backpack? You have one bag that goes ahead above in the overhead bins and one bag that goes under. It's just a pet peeve, but it's also more importantly a common courtesy to other people who are on the plane, right? If we're all trying to get our rollerboard bags on board and you're blocking it or you're filling it with stupid stuff and they have to gate check mine all the way to, I don't know. We gate checked a family's bags all the way to Barcelona because there was no more space. And like they have like layovers and they probably wanted stuff out of there and like we had to check them because there was no more space. And it's all because of you. You selfish son of a gun. It's all your fault. I just feel like I'm like I'm like a nasty flight attendant, just like bitching about stuff. But I try to be so nice to people on the plane. Like I get it. Traveling's not easy. It's stressful, whatever. Just like do your best. Like my motto in life and on the plane is just don't be an idiot. Like if I say something, just listen. Like why do I have to argue about it? Keep your shoes on. That first of all, that's disgusting. These planes are nasty. I've seen people go into the bathrooms barefoot. I've seen people go into the bathrooms with their socks on. And I'm like, that's not water on the ground. Like imagine, especially as guys, like trying to pee and like you hit turbulence. Like there's no control of what happens. I'm like fucking hosing down the entire bathroom on accident. And then you go in there with no shoes on. Like that's how you get MRSA or like the Black Plague. It's nasty. Keep your shoes on. Keep your shoes on at your seat too, unless it's a flight over 6 hours. There's no reason to have your shoes off. Keep all of your clothes on. Keep your jacket in your space. Don't hang it on the seat back because that's someone else's space and you're all up in their grill. If you listen, honestly, just go to, there's an Instagram called Passenger Shaming. Just go to that and it'll tell you everything not to do. Don't stand up right when we land if you're in the back. There's no reason. Wait your turn, have a seat, chill. It's not going to get you off the plane any faster. Another question that we always get, like I'll land in like these random small like Tulsa, Oklahoma or like Wichita, Kansas. And they're like, oh, like, are you guys based here? I'm like, no, sir. Like, no, United doesn't have a base in Wichita, Kansas. I think you would know like if United has a base, like it's big cities like Denver, Chicago, LA, New York, San Francisco. Like you're going to know if there's a base there. And I promise you, Wichita, Kansas is not one of them. So please stop asking me where I live. One, it's kind of creepy. But two, it never makes sense. Flight attendants, just be kind. They could have just started. They could have had a really bad layover, which is like, oh, a bad layover. No, there's bad layovers. When you stay in hotels, you encounter the worst of the worst. For most people, they stay in a hotel once every couple months, maybe. And they experience a bad situation every once in a while. Well, if you're staying in a hotel for work almost every night you're working, you experience bad people statistically far more often. So we see some shit. We deal with some stuff. The other day, I thought someone was playing like really loud music. So I like paused I was watching Game of Thrones because I just started watching Game of Thrones, which I can't even get started. I'm just like ready to end this so I can go finish season 5. I watched the first 5 seasons in like 2 weeks, I think, less than 2 weeks. But anyway, I paused Game of Thrones because I thought someone was listening to music. and it's the guy next to him, like the room next over, snoring so loud. I thought it was like bass, like hitting my room. So like people, you deal with the worst. It could be a really long day. Just give us a break. We're trying to do our jobs. We want to get you your Cokes, but if it's turbulence or it's bumpy, I'm not going to go out there. Your Coke isn't that important. I'm not going to hurt myself and lose money or have to stop working because you wanted a Diet Coke. It's not worth it to me, friend. Sorry, Carol. Like I said, I'm just trying to figure this podcast thing out. I'm kind of just rambling. I just wanted to get one out so that way I can say that I've done one. I definitely want to have some conversations with people, and just kind of talk about different things. And I thought about doing, because my idea for this podcast is that I tell you things that I think people should know. And so calling it Smart Alek is kind of a double entendre, kind of saying like, I'm a smart ass and I'm going to talk shit. But also I want to tell people about things that I think they should know. And so talking to you about, airplane etiquette is kind of one of those things where I'm like, I think some people just need to hear it. Not everyone. A lot of people can fly it really great and they make it work. But I think there are a lot of people that needed to hear it. And that's the fucking tea. And I don't feel bad. Learn how to fly or don't fly. Okay? But I thought about doing like a This Week in Congress kind of thing, or like talking about things that were going on in our government, because I think that like my generation is kind of disconnected. Some of us, not all of us. And I'm not saying I'm educated. I'm just saying I want to make a better effort to figure out what's going on. But instead, because I think that's kind of depressing, and I'm just like, if it's like a happy thing in Congress, I'll tell you all about it. But I want to kind of end every podcast with a piece called Good News Now. And actually, when I looked it up, I found a website called goodnewsnetwork.org. And you guys can check it out. I'll link it in whatever the descriptions on this video or in the podcast. But it's literally just a website full of like articles that only contain good news. So it's not going to talk to you about like really depressing things or like these horrible things that are always in the news. And so it's kind of just a way to brighten up your day. It's not going to fill you with dread and like what life has been like recently. It's going to kind of bring you some joy. So I'm going to tell you a story. The title for this story was Woman Picks Up Restaurant Tab for 11 High School Prom Goers. And so Teresa De Leon in Clarksburg, or she attended Clarksburg High School, and 10 of her friends were going to prom, and they went to dinner. They're dressed to the nines, of course, as every prom goer is. And a nice restaurant regular decided to pay for their entire tab. And not just pay for whatever they had ordered, because as a high school student, one, if you have a job, you don't make much, or if you don't even have a job, it's probably your parents' money. So you're probably trying to buy a prom meal on a budget, 2 for $20, whatever we're talking about. But she had the server go tell them before they ordered and told them to order whatever they wanted. So they were able to order a bunch of different, whatever they wanted, really. And she picked up the tab, which is kind in so many different levels. It's kindness and doing things for other people that you don't even know, but also like these kids now were able to get things that they probably wouldn't have gotten before. They ordered a meal, they probably got steak or like a nice salad or whatever, and it made their prom experience that much better, because we've all been in that place where, you're trying to impress your date, or you're trying not to look like, you don't have money, whatever. And that just took all of that worry from that group of kids away. And I just think it's like super awesome. I wish someone would have picked up my bill, because my date left me halfway through prom. And that's also the fucking tea. So, but you know what? Good for her. Hope she's living her best life at this point. I know I am. I don't care anymore. Not salty, clearly, as you can tell in the tone of my voice. But that, I think, will conclude the first episode of my new podcast, Smart Alek. I am going to try to figure out another goal, and the thing I've been trying to look into is I'm going to try and figure out how to get this on Apple iTunes. The only thing I have to do is create an RSS feed, which I don't really know how to do. So if you know how to create an RSS feed, or if you want to look it up and teach me how to do an RSS feed, let me know so I can get this podcast on iTunes. But it'll be on SoundCloud for now, and I'll try and upload this video to YouTube. Hopefully the other ones to come will not just be me rambling. But if you watch through this whole thing, I appreciate it. Let me know who you want me to talk about or things you want to know about. I've been listening to murder podcasts, so I may try and do some research on some different like unsolved murders or just like crazy murders. There have been like some wild ones that I really want to like dive really deep into. So honestly, this podcast is just going to be me just telling you about shit, whether it's important or not. I think it's going to be interesting, so I'm excited to see where this goes. Thank you for listening. I will be back hopefully next week. If I'm not back next week, shoot me a text, Mom, because you're probably the only one watching this. So, that's all I have to say. Maybe that's how I'll end all my podcasts. That's all I have to say. I don't fucking know.